Goldberg was setting up for one of his iconic power moves, but things quickly spiraled when the veteran unintentionally speared referee Charles Robinson after Gunther cleverly dodged out of the way. Poor Charles took the full force of the move, and once again found himself on the receiving end of an accidental yet brutal collision. Meanwhile, emotions flared outside the ring. Goldberg's wife Wanda and his son Gage were seated ringside, and when Gage witnessed the chaos and disrespect aimed toward his father, he couldn't hold back. With tensions running high and memories of last year's humiliation in Atlanta still fresh, where Gunther embarrassed Goldberg and his family in front of their hometown crowd, Gage leapt over the barricade, ready to get involved. Thankfully, security reacted swiftly, preventing what could have been a disastrous altercation. Back inside the ring, Goldberg summoned a burst of energy and delivered a bone-rattling spear to Gunther, a move that brought the audience to their feet. The ring general was down. The big question now was whether Goldberg had one more jackhammer left in him. And indeed, he did. He lifted Gunther high and slammed him down with a massive jackhammer, igniting the crowd with hope for a legendary comeback. A second referee, Sean Bennett, rushed in to take over officiating duties, but Goldberg's injured knee delayed his ability to make a quick cover. Crawling with every ounce of strength left in him, Goldberg finally threw himself onto Gunther for the pin. The count began, 1, 2, but Gunther kicked out just in time, stunning the entire arena. That was Goldberg's best shot, and for a moment, it felt like it might be enough. But Gunther, ever the tactician, regrouped fast. He saw the opening and locked in a tight sleeper hold. Goldberg, refusing to give up, clawed and struggled, trying to break free. He twisted, rolled, and fought to find any leverage, but Gunther's grip only tightened. The oxygen began to fade, the blood flow cut off, and Goldberg slowly began to lose consciousness. In one final, desperate attempt, he reached for anything, but it wasn't enough. The fight drained from him. Goldberg faded, and then finally, he went out cold. The bell rang. It was over. Gunther had retained the World Heavyweight Championship. As the announcement rang out, declaring Gunther the winner and still champion, an air of finality settled across the arena. For Goldberg, this wasn't just another match lost. It marked the closing chapter of a legendary 28-year career, one filled with dominance, intensity, and unforgettable moments that helped shape the world of professional wrestling. He was an icon who had carried the industry at times on sheer will and power alone. But now, it wasn't about who's next. The only question that remains is, what's next for Goldberg? The energy in the arena was electric. Every eye was locked on the ring as two generations collided. Gunther, the current and dominant world heavyweight champion, and Goldberg, the icon whose name is etched in wrestling history. As the match neared its chaotic climax, the situation took a dangerous turn. In a moment of high-speed fury, Goldberg charged with his signature spear, but Gunther showed uncanny awareness and reflexes by sidestepping at the very last second. Unfortunately, standing directly in the line of fire was the veteran referee Charles Robinson, who took the full force of Goldberg's tackle. The crowd gasped as Robinson crumpled to the mat, another victim of Goldberg's unstoppable momentum. It was an unintentional but violent collision that left the match momentarily without an official and heightened the unpredictability of what was already a volatile showdown. As the match continued amidst the chaos, cameras cut to the ringside area, where Goldberg's wife, Wanda, and his son, Gage, were watching the action unfold with visible emotion. The moment stirred up memories of the previous year's devastating moment in Atlanta. Gunther had publicly humiliated Goldberg and his family in their own hometown, tarnishing the legacy of the legendary powerhouse in front of those he loved. The psychological scars of that event were still fresh, and Gage, who had been at the center of that traumatic moment, was visibly angered. Fueled by emotion and a deep desire to protect his father's honor, Gage leapt the barricade, charging toward the ring. The audience erupted, unsure whether they were about to witness a proud moment of familial redemption or a serious mistake in the making. Thankfully, security personnel were quick to act. They intercepted Gage just in time, preventing what could have been an ugly and dangerous situation. Their swift response protected not only Gage but also ensured the match could continue without further outside interference. Nonetheless, the moment served as a distraction, one that nearly shifted the momentum in the match. Sensing the opening, Goldberg exploded into action. With his trademark intensity, he blasted Gunther with a thunderous spear that rocked the ring. The impact sent shockwaves through the crowd, and just like that, the hope of an epic comeback burned anew. The chants of "Goldberg" filled the arena. Then came the moment the fans had been hoping for. he lifted Gunther high into the air and delivered a devastating jackhammer, a move that has put down some of the greatest competitors in wrestling history. For a split second, it looked like Goldberg was on the verge of one final triumph, one last legendary moment. As referee Sean Bennett rushed into the ring to replace the incapacitated Robinson, Goldberg, however, struggled to capitalize on the opportunity. The years of wear and tear and a bad knee began to show. He crawled slowly, painfully across the mat, each inch a battle, finally draping an arm across Gunther for the cover. The ref counted, 1, 2, and Gunther powered out, kicking out at the very last moment. The crowd let out a collective gasp. Goldberg's best shot, the move that had ended countless matches before, wasn't enough this time. The ring general had survived. Realizing he had narrowly escaped defeat, Gunther turned the tide with ruthless precision. He seized Goldberg from behind and locked in a crushing sleeper hold. The crowd grew quiet, watching in disbelief as Goldberg, the man once seen as indestructible, was suddenly gasping for air, fighting to stay conscious. He twisted, he turned, he clawed for any possible way out, showing every ounce of heart and determination that had defined his career. But Gunther's grip was too tight, the technique too perfect. Goldberg tried to shift his weight, tried to roll out of the hold, but his strength was fading. The oxygen was cut off. His movements slowed, his body went limp. The referee called for the bell. It was over. The announcement echoed through the arena. Gunther was still the world heavyweight champion. He had defeated one of the greatest legends in wrestling history, not through luck or fluke, but by enduring Goldberg's best and still emerging victorious. The match would go down as a testament to the new era of dominance, a declaration that Gunther had not only survived but cemented his place atop the mountain. As Goldberg lay motionless, the reality began to set in. This match may not have just been a loss, it may have marked the end of an era. A 28-year career filled with iconic victories, legendary rivalries, and a legacy that shaped the wrestling industry had possibly reached its final chapter. The man who once asked, "Who's next?" now faced a new question. What's next? Fans stood and applauded, many with tears in their eyes, not just for the outcome of the match but for everything Goldberg had meant to them for nearly 3 decades. He had been a force of nature, a symbol of raw intensity, and a larger-than-life warrior who inspired awe and admiration across generations. Tonight, in defeat, he had shown one last time what made him great: heart, power, and an unwillingness to quit. As Gunther celebrated, holding his title high, and Goldberg was helped to his feet by his son and wife, there was a sense that the torch had truly been passed. Not through ceremony, but through battle. And though the legend had fallen, his legacy would never